Hi all. Today we'll see why we are going to use React references instead of IDs. So I have taken one example project. This is created by using create React app. So this is a basic example. So I will be creating one more file. I mean one more component here, like a ID component. So here I wanted to explain the problem which we are facing why if we use IDs in React.js. So I will explain the problem. What is the exact problem we'll be facing if we use IDs in the project, and later on I will show how we are going to resolve it by using the references. So let me take an component like a ID component.jsx. I have created that, and then I am importing React from React package. Here I will be creating a small component ID React component, which will be extending a React component dot React component. So here we need to have a render method. I will keep a render method which needs to return some JSX. So in order to consider this as an component, we need to return some JSX. So I will be trying to use here a fragments. So later on I will try to use one input field. So in this input field, I will be giving one ID to my input field. Let be like this, input ID. So later on, I will take two events. These are the normal events like on focus. So when this on focus, let me call on focus function. I'm trying to bind this. It should be inside. So let me take another event like on blur. So I'm creating one input field where I'm trying to create two events for that. One is on blur and one is on focus. Okay. Yep. So I have created a simple HTML input field giving an ID of my input and taken two events like on focus and on blur. So let's write some code in this on focus and on blur. In on focus, I will try to write on focus on blur. So just I will pick this element like document. Usually we do this in HTML and JavaScripts. Document.get element by ID. Here like we are trying to access this input element with the ID. So I'm trying to access this document.get element by input ID, and I'm trying to change its color. Set attribute, just the class name, the color. When I focus that, I need to modify its color. Right? Just I will create one class with highlight. So we need to define a highlight class to CSS. So let's do the same. When I on blur, when I come out of that input field, when I focus on that input field, I'm trying to change its color. When I'm coming out of this input field, I'm trying to remove this class. So that's what here I wanted to concentrate. So let me keep. I can remove all this from the CSS. So as I have removed this, okay. So now we'll use highlight. So on CSS background color, I will try to change this to light blue. Okay. In order to use this in ID component, we need to import it. So the CSS files can be imported in this way. App.css. Fine. So here we are using. Here we have constructed one ID component. We have taken one input field and we wrote two events for that. So let's use this ID component in our app container component. So for that, I need to export this component first. Export default ID component. So I'm exporting this. so that I can import in app.js and I can use that component. Here I will be importing that component. Yeah, I can use this component here. So I will write this component in between here. So let's run this application npm start. So let's check what is there here. So the time it runs, let me re-explain what I have done. I have just taken one ID component where I am using one input field and given one input ID and two events. And in this events, I'm just accessing that input element and trying to change its styles. When I focus it, I'm going to change its style to light blue. And if I blur it, I'm removing that style. So this is a simple ID component, and I have imported that in app.js and I'm using it here. So let's check what happened here. So we have a component like a input component here. I'm focusing the color change to light blue. I'm coming out. So it's working fine. So then why we are not going to use these IDs? So let me explain that. So we wrote one component where it is working fine. We have concluded that it is working fine with IDs. But the thing is, this component should work as many times as we can use. We are saying this as a component. It means we should use multiple times. We can use multiple times. So let me copy paste the same component beside the one we have created earlier. So now check that. We have three components like this. So if I click here, okay, on focus, clicked change, on blur is working. If I click the next one, see the on focus, we are not getting on focus, light blue color here, have blurred here. If I click here, the focus is going to the first input field. So this is the issue we are facing with IDs. So this is the exact issue we'll be facing. Let's inspect this and we'll check it out, what happened. So here we have input. The class field was only added to the first input tag. So that's the reason if I place my on focus on the third input element as well, it's focusing and changing the color to the first input element. So this is because we are pointing our DOM to get an element with the ID my input. So it will go to the DOM and it will search for the ID with my input and it will get this input first element. So it will not bother about rest of the elements. So even we have wrote IDs for all these two, it will be taking the priority to the first one. So that's the case for every on focus or on blur. We are getting the focus to the first element, not to the all elements. This is a problem we'll be facing if we use IDs. So okay, we understood what all the problems we are facing. So how we are going to avoid this? So that is where we are going to get the references. So to avoid these problems, we are not going to use IDs. So that's the reason we need to use references. So let me show an example how references is going to solve this problem. So let me take one more file here, reference component .jsx. So I will implement the same things, like instead writing all the things again, I will copy paste from ID components to reference components here. Yeah, I will change this in order to save the time I'm doing this. So I am modified the reference component name here. So everything is same here. So now the events, I mean, we need to remove this event as it is accessing the DOM. So also we need to remove the IDs because you're not concentrating on these IDs. So now we need to use refers. How we are going to use the references here. So here the point is, I need to use the reference in this way, like refer is equal to references. I'm trying to access it like input. So this is the input we are getting. So this dot my input. So I'm taking one reference for each of the component I'm using. So I'm giving that input to this input. Okay. So here we go. This is the way we need to use the references. So let me add how to use this in on focus. This dot my input dot set attribute. So this is same as we have done earlier. So directly we are pointing to that element and we are adding this highlight. Okay, so I will remove this highlight. So this is thing. So let's check now. So we need to import this in here, like the same way we have done for ID components. So I'm importing the refs component here. So in place of ID components, I will remove this ID components, and initially I will check what is this ref component is doing. So okay, so I'm using only one reference component here. So let me check what we'll be getting here. App.js line 10 refs is not defined. Okay, there's some issue here. So let's check what it is. Oh, here the spelling mistake. Okay, there's a typo issue here. So let's check. We have got an element. I'm focusing it blur. So two events are working fine. So it's good. The same was worked for IDs as well, but we need to use the multiple components then and there itself, so that we need to check whether these references are solving that problem or not. Now see, for each and every component we have this is separate out. So this references are making a separate instance for us, and they are allowing us to do this. So now if you see, for each and every input field, input component, we have separate instance, so that all these blur events are helpful for us. So that's the reason we are using references in React.js instead IDs. So you can check in the DOM as well. So if I click this, only that this ID is getting. And if I click this input field, third input component, only for that input component, we are showcasing that. So hope you understood why we are going to use references instead of IDs in React. So thanks for watching. Thank you. Hi all. In the last class, we have seen that why we are using references and why we are not using IDs. So I have shown you how to use the React references here and what was the problem it is going to solve apart from the IDs. So we have another better way to declare refs and use the references. So let me show you that. So to show that, I'm taking one constructor, and in that constructor, I'm defining this dot my input field is equal to react dot. If I click the react dot, I will be getting create ref. I'm taking one reference to the create refs, and I'm holding that references to this dot my input, and I'm giving that this dot my input reference to my input reference. Okay, I have taken a reference to the create refs, and I have taken that reference into this dot my input, and I have used that to in my input field. So in order to use this, I need to click current here. So straight away it won't be worked. If I execute this code, we'll be seeing one issue. See, I have refreshed it, and if I click here, I will be getting one issue. This is because we need to mention current. So if we are using uh, react.create refs, the current should be referred, so that it would be pointing to the current element. So that's the only change we are going to do here, and now it will be working same as earlier. So let's check it what happens. See, it will work the same. Sorry, I have clicked the wrong URL. Yeah, it will work in the same format. Yeah, that's it. In this video, I have shown you how the latest way and other way to use the refs. Thanks for watching. Thank you.